All right, guys, just in case the recording cuts out, my PC is acting weird today in the morning. So I don't know what would that mean for the recording. But if for some reason you see me disappear or getting stuck, you know what is it. So just in case. All right, but other than that, let's just hope that everything plays out as intended. And let's bring back my camera here. All right, I think that's it. So, how was your day, my friend? How was your weekend, most importantly?
Good, yeah. Went away with the family, visited some family in Ottawa, which is like a 6-hour drive. So it was a long drive. Went out there, visited them, hung out, had food, lots of hanging out. Went and saw Kyle, who's a trader on YouTube. Met him in person. Really nice guy. That was really cool as well. So yeah, finally got to meet some people in real life and got to spend time with the family. So it was really good, man. Yeah, so thanks for covering Friday because we had to go and drive forever. It felt like forever. 6 hours of driving is a long time. But yeah, besides that, really good weekend. How was yours?
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I mean, here when we need to travel, we take out donkeys. I heard that. Well, it surprised me that you have cars there. So,
Oh
yeah,
man,
just
you give
kidding.
them tacos and they run rapido down the
Oh
road.
yeah, we measure speeds on donkey steps, right?
It's not horsepower, it's donkey steps.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, just kidding. I mean, it was a pretty good day. I actually made it an open mouth thumbnail just for you to criticize.
I
So
saw
please
that.
go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I
I
don't
was
know what
like,
we're gonna do with you, OC.
I don't know, man. It's just part. It's all part of the show, right? But how was your show today morning? I was not able to jump over. I
we were
was.
looking
Uh-huh.
we were looking for the short this morning, but my exchange kind of messed up. So it was like I didn't want to take a trade just because when the exchange isn't working properly, don't trade because you could lose a lot of money if it bugs up. I think I messaged my rep and it was just a little bit of a glitch this morning, but it's okay now. So hopefully it bounces back. We'll see. But I'm not trading. I kind of I'll wait until they say it's okay because I don't want to. I don't want the exchange to go down, be in a trade, and then lose money. So it's always important for me to kind of wait right now and see if we do if it gets all cleared up. Right. I make sure I do wait. How about you? Did you take any trades this morning or what? Are
No,
you short?
I've been closing some trades. Actually, today in the morning I woke up a little bit earlier because my alerts started going off. So I set up some alerts yesterday. And my weekend was also pretty good. I was just doing some maintenance in the house, and then I just went out so shooting some air guns in the backyard. But after that, I started setting up some alerts. Today morning, somewhere around 5:30 and 6 in the morning, my time, I was starting to take some profits on a couple of trades. What I think it was BNB, I think it was Ethereum, and that was it. I think so. Other than that, XRP. I'm looking at XRP, man. I don't know. It's looking juicy. It's looking like it's giving me vibes of I don't know. What for you would be? It's starting to look like Ethereum, but for me, it's starting to look like I don't know Link. Starting to look like Ada.
Oh yeah.
Kind of.
Like
I mean,
like 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 shit or good?
oh, good, 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 good. It's looking a little bit better. Let me get started sharing my stuffing here. I'm gonna be trying to share without getting kicked out of Discord. So bear with me, and yeah, successful. Hey man, this thing is playing nice with me. Credit for my soul also says, hey Alexa Crypto, OC Guy Prime. Hey guys, how are you? Hello everyone. I'm using three free trade view indicators in simultaneous combined on my chart VPVR and volume 24 hours volume. This is good but or redundant. What should I do different? to be more effective, please and thank you. Absolutely. So let me just read once again that trading indicator simultaneous combined on a chart VPVR and volume in 24 hours volume. It's a little bit redundant, I would say, but whatever it works. I'm gonna go explain my take on that. But again, if something works for you, if something clicks, use it. If none of this clicks, just put it aside, right? Put it aside. Don't worry. Remember, you don't need to hear or don't need to take all of the advice that you get to, right? Remember, it's only an advice and a take. But let me first explain on XRP. Here we go. So let me just clear this analysis. So XRP has had a beautiful dip in here, and then we started making some higher highs, higher lows, a little bit of a breakout. We did not fully lost it, and then once again breakout retest, or better yet, breakout retest, and we are forming this symmetrical triangle. Right, so I know once again with the triangles, but so far we have a big breakout going to the next predictive range. We're having a rejection, and I think we might have another rebound to the downside, right? And I do see, or you already can see my alert here at 2.29, right? 2091, just to make clear for the ones that are just listening today. So I do see dynamic reactor coming in strong. The only thing that I don't like about this dynamic reactor, it is so thin, right? So thin. That doesn't mean weaker, but the area where the volume is concentrated is small, which usually indicates a smaller volume there, all right? It's not for sure. Sometimes you just get the whole volume packed into the same area, but most likely, when we have a smaller area, we have little or less volume, all right? So having said that, well then when we come back down and we don't have such a high volume area, most likely we could either fake out or pierce through, right? So the next thing that I'm looking at is a soft order block. So I was saying that it's looking like a good trade, or looking a little bit more like Link or ADA. Let's go visit Link. Look at Link. Link play out very nicely. But when I was expecting to bounce, it actually moved to the upside and make some structure, right? And ADA did the same. So how would that look like? I mean, why am I saying that it's starting to look like Link or ADA? Because if you notice, and let me go back so you can see Link and ADA, Link, there it is, Link, and then XRP. All right, we have the same movement, same structure, different breakout. I wanted to make a little bit of a bigger range in here, right? Just like what we're having on Link, just like what we're having on ADA. So we correct over time and not that much overpriced. Because if we correct right now overpriced, but then we take back again the next price and then we correct, we'll make a range. Basically, we cancel each other that correction, and we just move throughout time without moving through price action, or within a Vanguard or a Walled Garden stone, right? So that being said, I want, right, and let me give you here my support and resistances. There we go. Well, not this one. Where are you? Support. There we go. We have a support right here. This green support. All right. I know it's a little messy. Let me maybe try to make it better. There we go. I want to make some space that the dynamic reactor gets into a sideways motion and gets thicker. Once it gets thicker, and because we are holding with money flow and support area, I think we can have a chance to burst all the way to 245. That might not look like a huge trade, right? But everybody right now is looking at Bitcoin for the downside, right? That will be, if you are doing 10x, that will be 123%. Not bad, right? And remember that we should be taking early profits at 235, right? So just so you know, if you're new here, we're not going to get the full 123% in that move because we take early profits and then we close the rest, all right? And we always have left a little bit there in case it just decides to go to the moon, all right? But other than that, and let me talk about Bitcoin at this point because we need to pair with what's happening with Bitcoin. Right now, we have in here on XRP a breakout of the inverted head and shoulders, breakout, retest, off we go. So a little bit of structure will be set sit very well with what we have in here. Sorry, I think somebody just threw a stone to my door, but that's fine. I got him on video. And the next thing is going to be looking at Bitcoin. All right, so let's take a look at Bitcoin in here. Something interesting is happening. Remember this megaphone that we've been talking about, and also with the area of support and resistance with this channel that we created all the way back in here, right? That we took a entry right here, that we scaled down, or sorry, we scaled up in here, and then we took our profits back in here, getting out of that trade. All right, remember that? Well, then I do, because this thing was like a kick in the lever. All right, so at this point we are in the same area. So Alex also mentioned, look at how many times it needed to break down. All right, not only here but also here. Right, we held. So I mean, are we gonna be just kind of like a teasing with it? Are we gonna straight up breaking through? I don't know. And especially not now that we're forming like a bull flag, right? But at the top we have this upward range, if that makes sense, or upwards tilted range. Usually this pattern breaks to the downside, at least for a sweep of the lows, and then for a movement to the upside. In a lower time frame, this movement is going to be fantastic. For me, that will be a weighted enter, and then off we go, or the 4 hours, right? So far we have a fake out, breakout, back again, but look at that oscillator. It is kind of like a flipping. I wanted to flip. I wanted to do a little bit more movement to the upside so I can position myself, and then I wanted to lose it all. I wanted to go crazy. I wanted to do something like that, so when it goes down, I can short it to this area, and maybe with a little bit of luck, then I can reverse it. Why? Because at this point, I'm gonna start taking some heavy profits, and then also I'm gonna be just going for maybe a head switch if and only if we are having a bounce to the upside. So far, we're still bullish. I mean, look at how bullish we are. We're prime score on 8, and our consolidation score, it's of 8. Remember that I'm not worrying that much of a trading here, because the trade that I took in here, finally, I took one here, closed it here. Took another one here, and then I closed it here. And now, remember, this one that I took is still on 1/4 all the way here. I'm not closing that. I'm not gonna be closing that unless we lose dynamic reactor. All right. So this is my insurance policy at this point, right? This is what keeps me sane right now, and this is what keeps me calm and not that emotional at this point, right? So I call it an emotional anchor in trading. So that's a little tip if you're also an emotional trader. When you get your trades, just leave a little bit in there, set your stop at entry, and then if it just runs, it runs, right? And runs, and then you have an emotional backup trade right there for you to take some profits. And some of that trick will be whatever you lose, don't make it bigger of whatever you're earning here. So in the worst case scenario, you're compensating 1-to-1, right? And that will be it on how to equilibrate. Just a little tip in there. You can measure it however you like. All right, let me go really quick, and then I pass it over to you, my friend. Let me just scroll and then choose one random asset, and this is gonna be it. All right, KSM, perfect. Why am I choosing this? Because I want to add a couple of stuff in here. To answer Creative for My Soul. Creative for My Soul is mentioning, hey guys, right, 3 for indicators, simultaneous combined in my chart. All right, so you're using VPVR. Depending on which VPVR you're using, you could be using this one in here inside of the, I believe, what is it, the technicals? Which was, no, come on, what? I mean, it's just so long since I don't use it. All right, so just a classical VPVR to the right. It should be on my favorites here. Here it is. Volume profile range magnifier. Sorry, not this one. VRVP, sorry. This is it. So I think you're using this one. Or guys, if you don't have the premium, don't worry, you can use one right here, which is, where is it? This one in here, which is fixed range volume profile. The only difference is that to the right, it updates however I just, or whatever I just have on my screen. And the other one, the free one, it just updates manually. So you just need to basically extend it, right? So you just get the same data, right? So on and so forth. So there's nothing wrong with doing this. In fact, if you just volume here and then also just macro volume, whatever, you can start pinpointing areas of high disparity. For example, like let me give you right here. You have a spike in the horizontal and vertical right here. And what I would advise to use this kind of volume, it is on divergences or ramping up or decreasing tops or increasing tops in here. Because this will give you, look at that, a divergence in which when that divergence is finalized, you get that double bottom, again, breakout retest, and off you go based on a volume divergence, right? The other thing that you can do is start marking those areas like this, for example, and then you start marking your shelves or your areas of interest, your horizontal zones. I like to mark both the peak and the valley. The valley I usually mark them with a dash line or less of an important line because that will give me kind of like empty zones of possible high volatility, all right? And then you just make a matrix out of this, right? So that matrix goes like this. All right, where do I have the volume influx? Right here. And where is going to be my target? Somewhere around here. Or where is going to be my support? Somewhere around here, all right? So I would say it's a little redundant, or not redundant, but hard to manage all of that, right? If, or instead of this, I'd like to have a VPVR, whichever you like, right? Because that gives me volume, but horizontal, right? So horizontal volume, which indicates me where, right, are the zones where that volume was allocated in the past. So most likely I'm gonna get allocated in the future, right? The one that I use is not the VRVP. It is, well, just my VPVR in here. Oh, come on, where is it? From Chart Prime. Why? Because I don't only have regular volume, I also have disparity volume, basically the sum between positive and negative, right? The result between positive and negative. And that give me, let me get rid of this, that give me these areas of interest, all right? And also these areas of interest. This is smart money, this is retail money, all right? So that is my take on the volume. Another thing that you can consider doing that, it is using your dynamic reactor. Dynamic reactor is basically what I just showed you, right? It is at this candle based on my volume, my regular volume versus my VPVR, where is the, on this candle, where is the most important matrix volume point? So your dynamic reactor, it is the regular volume plus a VRVP or VPVR, where you want to read it, for the given candle. And that gives you some sort of a some sort of a EMA, which is the dynamic reactor based on volume. So that is my take. Let me try it back to you, Alex. And let's see, what are you looking at? And maybe how will you use those volume tools?
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah. So looking at Bitcoin, VRVP is it's useful, but it's like you can't. I wouldn't trade solely based off of that. Okay. Uh, Whenever you got volume, it's always so like I'll pull a fixed range volume profile just to understand where we are in a range. Whenever I teach range bound trading, it's always so when I teach it, you always want to establish your highs and your lows, right? So you'll have your high that you first put in, right? You'll have your low that you first put in, right? And obviously you're in an uptrend in here. So you want to buy low and sell high, right? So you want to be selling and buying at below the range, right? What the V fixed range volume profile lets you do is it narrows it down for you a little bit more, which allows you to, possibly prepare for shorts, prepare for longs, right? Which is always useful. Okay. And then we have the tool in here as well, which is very good, which I use quite often too, just to show me where can we have some. I like to think of it as like a wall. So it's like, where will it stop? You can see how we bounced this morning off of this one here. Okay, it's a nice bounce, right? So we're rolling over this morning, we hit it, and we bounce, right? So very good areas. And look, we come back into here, we hit it, and we bounce down, right? So very useful to kind of use in confluence with other tools. For me, I don't trade based off of them solely, but I will use them as reference points throughout my charts. As you guys can see, like I always have my support and resistance levels here, which help me kind of take profits and all that kind of stuff. So that's very important when using it. And then you also said you use the VPVR. So the problem, I don't use the VPVR, the one that comes like on the side of your chart here, like this or whatever, because it depends on what's on your chart, right? So it's like it's kind of up to interpretation. I prefer the fixed range volume profile because I can pull everything within this area, right? And I know where my data is being pulled from, right? So I can isolate price within this area. Okay, so I would suggest just using the fixed range volume profile if you're going to use either one of them. Is it good or bad or redundant? Yeah, so I would use the fixed range volume profile. And volume, 24-hour volume. Is that good or bad? What should I do differently to be more efficient? So volumes, the regular volume on, I'm not sure if you're talking about regular volume in here, but that's going to give you the candle. And what's the volume on that candle? You can see here that as you're coming up, you're pushing, and then you got a big sell-off, right? And then more sellers coming in. So it can help you kind of determine the strength in a move, but it's not going to be like I said before about the other one, it's not going to be like what you're solely trading off of, right? It's going to be if you're just trading solely based off of that, it's going to end up hurting you, I think, in my opinion. So I would be very cautious with, adding too much. Like I said, you want to have your oscillator, order blocks. I would say, like if we were talking S tier versus like B tier, I would say that those volume would be like B or C tier, where like your dynamic reactor, your order blocks, your fixed range volume profile tool would be more A tier, S tier, in my opinion. And that's just me. That's just how I trade. So I can't, obviously tell you what to do, but that's just from my experience and what, I've learned over the years trying to teach this thing. So what happened this morning? Pretty obvious. We rolled over, right? And we continue to roll over this morning, and Bitcoin dumping, right? Bitcoin dumping. We had resistance coming into our liquidity zone, which is pretty good. So if you do use the liquidity zones, these things are fire. Now I was kind of pissed off that we front ran the high here. Okay, so you can see the liquidity zone in here, negative delta, getting a rejection there this morning. So we came into our negative delta and rolled over. Now I would have liked to see the high taken here, and we unfortunately never did that, so I wasn't able to get short. But if we zoom in here this morning, we can see that we had a nice bearish divergence and a blue peak seeker. Okay, I am looking for a bounce in here right now. Golden pocket 786. No trade yet though, just waiting. But we came into here, we had bearish divergence, as you can see on our oscillator, into a liquidity zone, as I just showed you. And then on the 15-minute, I believe it was the peak seeker on here. No, 12-minute? 12-minute? Yeah, buddy. Okay. So bearish divergence, peak seeker, roll over this morning, right? Retracement, continuation. We retraced perfectly into an order block this morning. So you would have been able to get back into the short. Okay, and like I said, I haven't traded this morning because of my exchange. So you had a perfect retest into the order blocking continuation down. Okay, so whenever you see price this morning build and build and build and build and build, right? So you can see it in here overnight. We were able to long in here last night, and that's just swing low to swing high. Golden pocket zone in here with liquidity in the lows right here. So you got that zone on, and we were able to long last night into here, but very slow back up to the highs and never taking the high. But as you can see here, price action just trickling all the way up, right? Trickling all the way up, creating a lot of liquidity for the price to come back and take, okay? So the narrative is that we should look for the sweep into a area and look for a potential bounce. Okay, so currently we're waiting to see if we get the bounce out of here, and if not, we look to come to sweep the lows. Very simple, right? Keeping it simple, understanding the range, understanding where we are. We're very overextended right now. If we zoom out on like a 1 hour time frame, we can see that we are just consolidating here, right? So there's lots of liquidity below us, right? We can come to the lower part of the range, or we can bounce off the middle of the range and try to come back up for the high here, okay? So right now, you know, if we're going to bounce, you want to wait for the higher low and look for that rotation back up, okay? If you do not get that, right, you can see an ascending channel here. So if we lose this channel, we can just use our regression channel tool here. You can see that we're just coming up in here, okay? And typically these, we want this aimed down. So this right now is bearish because we're pushing up like this. So if we lose this, we look for the retest in a rollover, creating a nice Bart Simpson, okay? When it's flagging down like this, it's more bullish in my opinion. I don't know. OC, isn't that true? Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, he's shaking
completely.
it. Right? I'm not a flag trader. I know about the flag trading though, okay? But that's you know, as long as we hold the 786 golden pocket in here, I should look for rotation back up to the highs in here. Very simple. Very simple. We treat this like a range until proven otherwise. However, if we do lose this low, we look for the retest and OC trade it back down to key levels down below us. So for now, looking for a bounce. Will we get the bounce? We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Another tell this morning is if we look at the NASDAQ's rolled over here. But the NASDAQ here, you had 3 drives, perfect 3 drives this morning, and lots of liquidity below us, okay? So it was, you can look at other assets. If it doesn't look right on Bitcoin, look around, right? Look around like Ethereum. You can see Ethereum here. Overextended this morning, right? Overextended. Look what happened, right? Come for the liquidity, right? Look at, you can flip through the catalog on anything. ADA, Head and Shoulders, right? Breakdown, retest, continuation, right? Whenever it doesn't make sense on Bitcoin, you got high Bitcoin dominance, 65% almost. So if it doesn't look right on Bitcoin, look at your altcoins, and especially the main ones, Ethereum, AVAX, you know, ADA, SUI, right? Overextended, right? So what happens? They typically come back and then they go, if they're going to, right? But they typically come back. So that was kind of the idea this morning. And then from now on, right? Like I said, we see if we hold here and if we bounce up. We have flipped bearishly just recently, changing character here to the downside. So right now we should be favoring retest continuation down, but we are bullish overall on long-term time frames. So we don't want to be, you know, when we're trading in an uptrend, Our shorts, we want to be paying ourselves pretty early and taking profits along the way. Okay. But lots of room to the downside, lots to come and take if we are going to roll over. And like we said, it's going to be fast if they do it. Okay, so be prepared for that if it does happen. And that would just be a mitigation of this low, breaking down and retesting down to the ground. Okay. Thank you guys. I'm using other things as well. I'm just trying to narrow my questions. Thank you so much. Market dynamics volume settings with fixed rate. Yeah. Okay. Good. So hopefully that covers everything. Yeah, for Bitcoin right now, seeing if it holds. If it doesn't hold, then we look to break down. And then we have some key areas down below that I am eyeing out. We got an order block in here. Looking for that thing to possibly bounce. This is our bounce level. We'll see 786 golden pocket right now. If it doesn't hold this, then we look to start breaking down to all these levels down in here. I might have to move this one, but yeah. Hopefully that makes sense.
Oh, guys, I also want to give you a little bit of a warning today on the altcoin side. Things are getting weird, all right? Let me go over a couple of those first, and let me get started with one that I think pictures what I'm seeing in the rest of the markets today. This is Atom. This is Cosmos. This is not been playing, nice at all since its all-time highs, right? Or at least since its 2024 December high, right? Which tells me that there's no volume going to the markets, to the altcoins at this point, or at least the volume is just not enough, right? I think Atom's still a good project, but we'll have to see what the future tells us to, right? And by the way, this is exactly what Alex was mentioning. Look at that. This is a uprising channel, tends to break to the downside, or most likely takes a break to the downside. And I also see it. Oh, where is it? Here it is. And here is for the bull flag, a down-ranging channel usually tends to break to the upside. Exactly what Alex was explaining. So here's the thing. We're basically not getting out from this range so far, right? And let me go to Link because Link looks very appealing here. But again, if you zoom out, we have not got out of the range. Let's go to ADA. Very appealing again, but if we have not got out of the range. If you looked at, we are at the top of all of those ranges. Let's go take a look at Solana. I mean, Solana, barely, but again, look at that range. We have not got out of that range, right? At the top of the range, I either want to see a ginormous flagging here, not flag, but a big body candle here, right? Or better yet, a big body candle with its retracement to keep going onwards. There is another one that I think that we're going to be hitting, which is a retracement now, right? For breaking this trend line and then going upwards. And let me stay on Solana because Solana, from all of the ones that we've seen, looks to me that has the better performance, or the better, not performance, but shape, right? Let's get started with this trend line in here, right? We are at the base of the trend line. It seems like we're losing it. Another trend line that we can start drawing, it is this trend line right here. Why? Because we have 1, 2, 3 bounces. It's not about the breakout, it's about your retest. Lower high, basically confirmed, right? Why? Basically because we have not yet lost our previous lows, right? Lower highs, we need to put in a lower low, and then previous supports becomes new resistance, round the top, off we go. At this point, we have 2 highs to create our next trend line, all right? Guys, this is what we're expecting. This is what we're looking for, right? So be careful of being over bullish right now. And I'd rather see this bounce and be wrong about this, right? Because we can absolutely have a 25 to a 30% retracement on the trend and keep being bullish by creating a much stronger trend line like this, all right? Which in a higher time frame, like in the daily, this would be the range entry from the previous range, all right? So let's just picture both scenarios in here, which we already have, all right? And let's act upon what comes, all right? So I don't want you guys to kind of get stuck with one single idea. So what's happening here? Losing the trend line. If we put down a lower low and we close below this line in here, if we close below 146, I would say, no, wait, 145, we're putting a lower low. All right. And the next thing will be getting or either making a lower high or getting to an actual meaningful low. So we need to wait for it to reveal itself. All right. So if we when we hit dynamic reactor, if I'm having a flip of the ribbon, I'm gonna be entering for a long. And then at the zero line once again in here, when we're bouncing to that trend line, I'm gonna be trying to put a short. Most likely I'm gonna be longing that. All right. So I'm gonna be keeping my long and I'm gonna be opening a short in here, maybe in 1/2 entry. Why? Because look at how bullish we are. Look at how bullish we are. So going to the dynamic reactor, usually going to the dynamic reactor, let me show it to you. There we go, means, and this is what I think it happened, right? We lose the trend line, we go to the dynamic reactor, and then when we are here, I put on a half of an entry short all the way till here. I wait it out and then see if that bounce or if that keeps going downwards. Right? So this is what I believe we could be having right now. All right. Look at the similar, how similar that looks like. All right. It could also turn into something like that. Again, the same structure going downwards, right? Same structure and then going downwards. So basically we have both of the models right here. Remember to trade it as it comes and to always use a stop loss. We still have 15 minutes, Alex. Would you like to show something? Oh, there you go, for long downtrend.
Yeah, so we're in a bounce area. I think Buck's looking at a possible long.
3 minutes.
I'm not exactly sure. We could look for a long here, but for me right now, yeah, so we have bullish divergence in here. For me, I would like to see a higher low, and then we could possibly get long here. But remember, we are in a downtrend, so any reversal here, I'd be patient here. We have clipping, bull div, but also downtrend, right? So that's what really stands in our way, Buck, right now. So nothing I'm looking to possibly long just yet. Then we have VWAP in front of us too. So for now, just trying to be patient, in my opinion. But yeah, we are in that area where we should be looking for potential retracements back up to the high if we are going to get it, right? Because if we zoom out and we look at this, right, we've pushed up, we've retraced down, so we're looking for a push up, push down, push up. So that's what we are looking for generally, right? But we want to wait. Like if we look back here on a short-term time frame here, and we look over here on the weekend, right? So we came into this area on the weekend, right? It's okay to get long here, right? Okay, it's okay to even get long here, right? Because you're with trend, right? So for now, we have rolled over. This is pretty aggressive. Looking for the NASDAQ to bounce too. It's trying right now, but what's one of our favorite trades? We like a retest of previous lows and continuation down, right? So with trend, target being the previous highs, right? So I like to see a bounce, but to me, it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense just yet. It's a little bit risky. So if we can get it closed back up above into here, right? And then we look to take that back up. But right now, to me, a little bit of patience, in my opinion. I'm not too worried about getting, a sniper entry or whatever you want to call it. I'd rather I'd rather have confirmation, especially with price action right now. So that's my opinion. It could go like it's always an option. Let's not be but it's we got 786, we got a big order block down below us here. It's you're fighting with fire trying to get long right here. Right? You're trying to hold on for dear life. This does not look bullish to me right now. Okay? Nasdaq a little bit of a push back up right now, does not look bullish to me. It looks like it's rolled over and looks like we have continuation. The Dixie dumped and then pumped. Yeah, so I wouldn't be getting long here. I'd just be patient, my friend. What do you think, OC? You gonna get long?
I don't know. It kind of like it looks like it, but I agree with you. I need a little bit more confluence. At least a sweep of the lows, or something a double bottom right there. Something that shows me that this is not a flat positive bearish continuation, because we have I think a larger order block right down there, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, just below us there. Plus
Yeah.
we have that like 786. There's a bunch down there, so
Yeah. So I would be
that
worried
wouldn't
about.
be a yeah.
I'll be worried about the magnetic action of those order blocks, just making that bearish, like magnetic force drawing the price down. So something like liquidity hunters would like. But yeah, I'd rather
Exactly.
wait for a little bit. Yeah. Anything else that you're
If we're
looking
looking
at today? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so if we're looking in general, like for me, there's a couple of things that have stood out that we're looking for retracements on. We can look here at our altcoins. So for me, looking at SWI to come back down, key level that I'm looking for SWI to come into is actually $3.20. Okay, so that's the initial dump if we do roll over here. Big order block coming down just above us as well. But if we are going to roll over on SWI, $3.20 I'm looking here for a possible retracement. Obviously, very, very aggressive move here. So be aware of that. Link as well, looking at $14 here. We got a point of control a little bit above us here at 14.20. So you could possibly look at 14.20 as well. Injective looking to come back into this area too, about $9 if we're going to roll over. So there's a nice order block in here that I'm interested in, right around $9. That you could possibly be looking for these swing longs if we're going to continue bullishly, right? Even if Bitcoin dumps down, right? If we look at Bitcoin, even if Bitcoin dumps down, I'm still looking for a higher low, right? Like even if we roll over, I'm still looking for a bounce. Okay. And Buck's looking for one right here. So maybe you want to join Buck because we might just go to the moon right now because Donald Trump's going to say no taxes on crypto. And then he's going to be like, you told me not to get long. But any sort of retracement right now, in my opinion, is to be bought up. I'm just trying to be patient here. Looking for a retest on SWI or on TIA as well. Looking right at 270. Okay, looking for that 270 on TIA if we're going to roll over here. Okay, lots of swing trades available on altcoins if we get the continuation. Okay, that's if this, then that, always. Okay, just trying to be patient here. So there's a couple levels of things that I'm looking at right now. If we look at dominance continues to rise here. So we can see a rotation going into Bitcoin still. So it doesn't say we're not in altcoin season. Total 3 is also something that's on my radar right now. So total 3, we see here. Let's go on the daily on total 3. And what we can see is total 3 is still in a downtrend. Okay, so we have yet to take this high right here, as we can see. So this means that all we are doing is putting in a lower high right now. Okay, so it's, nice push up, but still a lower high. Okay, so we'd like to see this taken before we get, altcoin bullish, in my opinion. So patience, patience, patience. I know it's hard being patient, but it's Monday, so we got all week. Lots of stuff coming out this morning, and or lots of stuff coming out this week as well. We got lots of jobs numbers and unemployment rate at the end of the week, so be prepared for that stuff as well. Okay, and that's kind of what I'm looking at. What about you, OC?
I'm also just waiting a little bit. I mean, things might change a little quicker depending on how fast we move to the downside or if we start breaking up and then retesting. Remember that not because at this point today in the morning, Monday, we're saying not time for a trade doesn't mean just go fishing and forget your phone, right? I mean, if you're into trading, at least set up a couple of alerts on areas of interest. I think that is always beneficial, and that will give you the heads up when the things start moving to the upside or to the downside, and then you start taking your trades because very well ending this stream, everything might change. All right, just like Alex mentioned, what gives is something happens, changes the perspective of the market, and we push to the upside, right? But so far, right now, I'm on standby. Standby looking for entries where we don't chase after the deer. We don't jump off the tree and run after the deer shooting him, right? We just wait for the deer to come to us, to come our support zone. And then when we think it's ready, when we are prepared, we pull the trigger and we shoot. And we go happily ever after taking those profits, laughing all the way to the bank.
That's it.
All right. So, guys, I think that's going to be it for today's class. Thank you so much for joining. Alex, would you like to say the goodbyes today?
Yeah, trade safe, everybody. Be prepared. We could see some downside here, so you know, trying to be level-headed in this bullish push is hard. I know we all want to see it push, but right now sideways is still bullish in my opinion. Okay, so have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Guys, thank you so much for joining. And as always, see you guys tomorrow.